look for faithfulness before skill. There are so many skills that can be taught and developed, but there's something about faithfulness that's kind of written on the inside.
Welcome to the Worship Probs podcast, where we aim to entertain, encourage, and equip worship and tech leaders all around the world. Look, we all know that serving in worship and production is great, but the problems, those are real. Thanks for joining us as we dive into today's episode with our host, Brian Tabor.
Welcome to episode 385, fam, of the Worship Probs podcast. What's up? Welcome back this week. We're so glad to have you. Got an awesome episode for you today. With me is Mrs. Probs, and so you always know it's going to be an awesome day with Mrs.
Hello,
Probs.
hello.
Hello.
I am so happy to be here with my fam, my Worship Probs fam.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here. And we're going to have a great episode. You know, grab something to drink, grab a snack. Maybe you make it a snacktivity, you know, something you're making or something like, speaking of that, check out the scar.
Oh.
Now, if you're not watching on YouTube, you can't see this, but this is a cooking scar.
It's a long burn, isn't it?
And you might say, how'd you get a cooking scar on your bicep? And that's probably a generous to call this a bicep, but that was a fresh piping hot tray of Toll House cookies, man, coming out of the oven, and I hit my arm with the tray, and it was on there for like a tenth of a second, and that, my ladies, friends, that's what you get right there.
You did not think it was going to do that. I didn't either. We didn't see anything at first, and then that appeared.
Boom. That's what happened. So yeah, there you have it. So grab something to drink, something to eat, and we're going to dive right in. We got prayer concerns for you. I got the OGs this week that's packed with laughs and encouragement. That's going to be awesome. But first, we're going to answer your questions in a segment that we call Sliding into the DMs. If you or your team, you're wrestling with something you can't figure out, or you can't get over it or around it or through it, send it to us. You can DM that to us on any of the socials, or email me, info@worshipleaderprobs.com, and we'll unpack that on a future episode of the podcast. So thanks for hanging out with us today on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're glad to have you. And before we dive into the rest of the episode, I want to get up some love to our amazing partners. They're impacting churches, both of them, all over the country. And I know they'd love to help your church as well. And that's Planning Center and AE Global. You can always find out more about these two amazing companies through the link in our bio. This episode of the Worship Probs podcast is brought to you by Planning Center, an all-in-one software that can help you organize every facet of your ministry, connect with your people, and help your people stay connected to each other. Among the many ways Planning Center can help you do that is through task management. In Planning Center, you can create detailed tasks, organize to-do lists, and even collaborate on those tasks with other team members in real time. Do you have recurring events and projects with long to-do lists? Make a task list template to save time. Have regular tasks you need help keeping up with? Set your tasks to automatically repeat at an interval of your choosing. And the best part is that you can create tasks from absolutely anywhere in Planning Center using the toolbar. You'll find your Tasks tab in Planning Center Home, the place you see all the important updates happening across your account. To learn more and get started today, visit planningcenter.com or click the link in our bio. Prayer Concerns is brought to you by our friends at AE Global. Worship and production ministry is hard. Every week you're preparing, troubleshooting, and dreaming about what could be next. And most days, it can feel like you're doing it all alone. But what if you had a trusted partner who understood the pressure and chaos and walked with you through it? For more than 30 years, AE Global has been building relationships with churches just like yours. helping with everything from audio, video, and lighting to system design and even installation. But they're more than an integrator, and they're about more than just selling gear. AE Global is a team that comes alongside you and a partner for the long haul, someone to brainstorm, troubleshoot, and dream with. They don't just care about your equipment, but the people behind it. Because great ministry happens when you don't have to carry it all by yourself. If you're ready for a partner who understands church production and wants to help you move forward with confidence, visit the link in our bio and reach out to AE Global today. Don't do ministry alone. Navigate it together with AE Global.
We love answering your questions, and we do that in a segment called Sliding into the DMs. And we're going to do that in a special way today. I'm going to put Brian on the hot seat. We have two great questions. And so, Brian, I want to ask you question number one. And it's about the ever popular topic of volunteers.
Yeah.
This one comes up a lot.
All the time, man.
How do teams find volunteers?
We do get this question all the time. And I always say this. I wish I had a silver bullet for you guys that would solve this for all time. There's that bullet doesn't exist. God did not give us that bullet, probably for a reason. And so I have a few points here. I have actually several points, and I want to go through them kind of quickly. But I would say, first of all, just you need to know that there's no neutral in leadership. Like there's no coasting, there's no marking time. You got to always be leading, and you have to always be working on this. Okay, so number one, I would say build a culture that people want to join. Before you start to recruit, you need to check your culture. People don't just join teams; they join like environments. Like, what's the environment like? Is it joyful, relational, purpose driven? People are going to want to join that. So that's the first one. Build a culture that people want to be a part of.
I love that. Absolutely, yes.
That's hugely important, and I didn't realize that early in ministry. And so let me help you avoid some of the mistakes that I've made, which is really what this whole account is about. Okay, number two, I recruit from relationships, and not just announcements or social media posts. Like stage announcements I have found rarely are helpful. Everybody wants the stage announcement. It's rarely helpful. I would say relationships are where it's at. Jesus never stood up in the front of a crowd and said, "Hey, anybody interested in discipleship? Here's a QR code for you." He was like, "Follow me." Follow me. Watch people in your church. Notice people who are faithful, and personally invite them. It means so much for you to say, "Hey, I see something in you. Have you ever thought about serving in worship or production?" That can be transformative for people in your church. So that's number two. Recruit from relationship.
So you're basically inviting them to walk with you too.
Exactly.
I mean, Jesus was asking people to walk with him.
Absolutely.
And you're asking people, "Hey, come and walk with me in this area of the church. I think you'd be great at it."
Absolutely. Absolutely. Number three, I would say this, a lot of teams are going to get this backwards. And I, for years and years, got this backwards. But number three, look for faithfulness before skill. Okay, there are so many skills that can be taught and developed, but there's something about faithfulness that's kind of written on the inside. That also can change. I'm not saying people can't change and grow, but I think faithfulness is way more important than talent and skill, because talent and skill can be developed, right? Um, Faithfulness, that's going to speak more to character and kind of that inner life. Are these people who show up consistently? Are they engaged in church life? Do they have good attitudes? Those are people, because man, if you get a really talented person with the wrong attitude on your team, that can turn into a cancer for your team, and you don't want that. Nobody wants that. So number 3, look for faithfulness. Number 4, this would be probably my most neglected for a long time in my ministry, and that is have a clear on-ramp process. It can be intimidating. I tell the story when I teach at conferences. Like, if you got a guy in your church who has all the right, it's all green lights when you're looking at this guy or girl, and let's say they're a guitar player, but they've never played on a stage before. They're a good player, but they play mostly at home or whatever. So think about what you're going to ask them to do. You're going to ask them to come to your church. Most likely, they're going to have to plug in to some sort of a audio system, which maybe they've never done before. So that's a really big deal. If you're using in-ears, that's the first time you do in-ears. That can be really mind-blowing for singers or players or whatever. So you're going to ask them to use in-ears. So that's 2 really intimidating things. Number 3, you might be playing with click or tracks. Good Lord, don't at me. People are so... I'm so tired of fighting with people. That's a touchy
subject.
I'm so tired of fighting with people over tracks, and they're just memes, man. Just take a break. But there's a lot of that can be really, really intimidating. So have a process for that. Let them know what the expectations are, what they're going to experience. Have them come and shadow somebody for a couple of weeks before they do that. So it's not just all in one fell swoop. You're introducing all of these things or if you're in production, this person, maybe they are using Microsoft Word or Excel at work, in Outlook or email, some kind of email program. You're going to ask them to come and run ProPresenter, or maybe they're a little bit of a Shutterbug, and you're going to put them on your desk to video direct. That's something that has to be developed over time, can be really intimidating. So I would just say, clear on-ramp expectations and what they're going to experience. Like, set those expectations, not just from your standpoint, what it means to be on the team, but from their standpoint. Like, here's what you're going to experience. You gotta prepare them for that. Right. So that's number 4. Number 5, don't just deploy people, develop people. And if your goal is just to fill the schedule, you're going to burn people out. If your goal is to develop people, then you're gonna build leaders, right? So spend time with people, know them, pour into them, develop them. That's number 5. Develop. I'm sorry, I have 10. That's not very senior. Senior. That's not very senior pastor. So we're halfway there. That's not very senior pastor.
Oh my.
Okay, number 6. It's kind of got to be about identity and not just the function. Like, you can't just stand up and yell, "Hey, we need a bass player," right? Or "We need a drummer," or "We need somebody to sing." You're building a team of people. You want to create, and this goes kind of back to culture too. Like, we're building a team of people who get the honor of leading our church in worship, in an encounter with God. I mean, that's going to hit really, really different than, "Hey, we need a bass player." It talks to purpose and calling and the impact that they're going to make by joining the team. So not just function, but identity. Okay, 7, reproduce yourself. You need to be. You need a leadership pipeline.
That's a great one. Yeah.
If everything depends on you, your team is going to be mired in the mud. They're going to stagnate and plateau. But if you raise up other leaders and recruit and hand off responsibility, man, that goes even further to culture and purpose and all the things that we're talking about. If you got to identify key leaders, you got to invite them into your processes, and then invite them to help you train other leaders. Let them own a piece of the ministry. Don't hold on to things so tightly. We're almost done. Celebrate. And celebrate people and stories, not just services. Like, hey, we survived Easter. I jokingly have said that on the podcast before, but testimonies can be one of your greatest recruiting tools. And so you need to share stories like, man, you got somebody who was there, maybe they're struggling to connect in your church and they had never thought about worship and production, but they joined worship and production. They became a part of the community and in turn, a vibrant part of the life of your church. Mm. That's a story you need to tell when you're looking for other volunteers. Allow people to share how being a part of the team has grown their faith and their walk with Jesus. And that's going to help people think, man, maybe that's me. Maybe I can do that, right? Okay, number 9, you got to make the ask often. Like I said earlier, there's no neutral. You got to make it personal, but you got to do it often. You're not going to be annoying. You're opening doors. You're helping people. Like I've said this on here, if there's a welcome class for new families in your church, new people, you got to be in that class at least for 5 or 10 minutes. You got to greet them, shake hands. Let them know who you are. Let them know what you do. And if they're looking for a place to connect, they ought to consider worship and production, because this is a ministry God is using to impact everybody in the church, every single person. Okay, last one. And this probably should be number 1, but it's number 10 on my list, and that's just pray like it matters, because it does. Mm-hmm. You're not just team building, you're kingdom building. All right. You got to pray specifically. God, show me who you're calling to join our team. Send me the right people at the right time. And I know what you're thinking right now. Right now is the right time. So pray like it matters. Engage with the Lord, because you're not just filling positions. You're helping people. And one of the most, I've said this to you many times, whether pastor is in your title or not, if you're leading groups of people, you're on a platform with a microphone, there's going to be a lot of pastoral stuff that you do, whether that's in your title or not. And one of the most pastoral things we can do is help people step into their gifts, the gifts that God has given them, and to develop those gifts, parable of the talents. And so you're helping people develop their gifts and find community and grow in their faith. And that really, that has to be the win. So there's really quick, there's 10 points that I wish I had known or had access to in the beginning of my ministry.
Mm. Wow, that's good stuff. I love it.
Well, thank you. I'm trying.
Goodness.
I'm trying. Somehow I manage.
I love, and I especially love that number 10. I mean, God, of course, wants a say in who is in these departments. So
pray like it matters, fam.
Pray like it matters, because it does. Yes. All right. Question number 2. Mm-hmm. What was the most impactful thing that has happened to you in ministry?
Most impactful thing is my relationship with Jesus. Okay, I got to say that first, because it's true. And if I don't say it, I'll get 100 DMs from people. You didn't say that Jesus was the most important thing.
People don't send you DMs about that, do they? That stuff. I know they do. I know.
I wish everybody could see the DMs, man. I've been threatened. It's a wild scene over there.
Oh,
okay, so Jesus, first and foremost, and that's not just lip service. That's absolutely 100% true, 1,000% true. Under Jesus, I would say having a mentor. That was far and away, practically speaking, the most impactful thing that impacted my ministry. Is having a mentor, and not just any mentor, but the right mentor. And this is 2026. So we need to talk about like appropriate mentors. Like men should be mentored by men. Women should be mentored by women. Because that can, remember the old Steve Green song, Guard Your Heart? What appears to be a harmless glance can turn to romance and homes are divided, right? So we want to talk about appropriate mentorship. Then you need to find some, like Kim says this all the time in her vocal class. You want to be a better singer? Sing with the better singer. Sing with somebody who's further along than you. So you want to be a more effective leader, pastor, worship leader, musician, team builder, team leader. You need to get with somebody who's been doing that a long time or longer than you have, for sure. We get this DM all the time, like, hey, my pastor found out I played guitar, so he put me in charge of worship. Where should I start? And that after I pick myself off the floor, because that's horrible. That's horrible. Sorry, that's a whole episode. We need to do it on that. But I would say find a mentor, and maybe start in your own church. I don't think this is just totally my opinion. Okay, I would not have your pastor as your mentor, your senior pastor. That's not because your senior pastor is a bad person. That's because your senior pastor's plate is already overflowing, and I would say it ought to be someone who's served in worship ministry. And maybe in your city, there is a church with a worship pastor or a worship leader, a music director, somebody who's been at it longer than you have. Take them to lunch and talk with them and get to know them a little bit. Maybe that's somebody who could be your mentor. Maybe is there a Christian school or college near you? That's where I found my mentor. And this was not a 6 months. This was years, a decade, probably of, weekly or a couple of times a month, like getting together. And when we started, Kim, you will remember this, when we started in ministry, I was a little more of a fly by the seat of my pants kind of guy. I was not much of a planner when I got into ministry. And so shockingly, I'd never planned anything. So I wasn't a good planner. So I had to find somebody who could walk me through, how do you plan a schedule so that you're not scrambling every single week to fill a team and to plan songs for your church service? How do you plan a schedule, like for months at a time? How do you look at the ebbs and flows of church life? What holidays are represented in that segment of time? What's the weather looking like? All kinds of stuff can go into how do you practically lead a congregation in worship. And so I would say having a mentor, somebody who's further along than you, is really, really important. What about you? I know you've had a couple of mentors in your life.
Yeah, I would definitely say mentoring is incredibly impactful and is one of the things after Jesus that has impacted my ministry. Absolutely, learning from those that have gone before and those that are further down the path. And I'm very grateful. But for me, I would say the thing that's been most impactful for my ministry inside the walls of the church, because that's what we talk about a lot on this podcast, is ministry inside the walls of the church. Well, me getting outside of the walls of the church has greatly impacted my ministry inside the walls of the church, because it has deepened my faith. It has drawn me closer to Jesus. When you have somebody standing in front of you that doesn't know anything about Jesus, or has never been to a church service and has no understanding of what just comes second nature to you, you're reminded very quickly that you have to choose your words wisely. You want to be a good representative. How do you introduce someone to Jesus for the very first time? And those kinds of moments when you have a real flesh and blood human being standing in front of you saying, well, I've heard people talk about Jesus and Christ and the Messiah and God, and who are all these people?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You know, you realize you need to have some answers.
That's right.
And so it has deepened my faith and reminded me that Jesus is the one with the answers.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be anyone that changes anyone. The Holy Spirit is the changer of people. That is for sure. And it reminds me of the importance of clinging to him and choosing my words well so that I can represent him well.
Amen.
How I say things, it matters. It matters. So that has greatly impacted how I minister inside the four walls of the church and deepening my faith for sure.
Yeah. Amen. Those are amazing. One thing I might add to my side of this conversation too is you might be listening to this and maybe you're not at the beginning of your ministry, but you've been at it a while. Mm-hmm. That's an opportunity for you to be a mentor. You can maybe start with the worship leader at the church down the road or somebody in your church, you know. That's where we're talking about developing volunteers, you know, replicating yourself, duplicating yourself. That's what Jesus did. He's our model, you know, with the disciples. He poured himself into those disciples. And so I would say maybe it's time for you to step up and be a mentor. Mm-hmm. Those are really important relationships. Well, I love sliding into the DMs. That's one of my favorite things we do. And keep your questions coming. You can, of course, DM those to us on any of the socials. You can also email me, info@worshipleaderprobs.com, and we will maybe tackle your DM on a future episode of the podcast. So thanks for sending those in, guys.
Hey, BT, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time for my favorite prayer concerns.
So prayer concerns, those like savage roasts you get from people in your church because they just didn't care for what you did in your service. We share these anonymously. So send yours in to us, info@worshipleaderprobs.com, or you can hit that campsite link and you scroll down and you'll see a link that takes you right to the prayer concerns page on our website, and share yours with us. We just do these to make they brighten our day, right? It makes me laugh, and it reminds me I'm not alone. And so that's what we want to do for each other. So I've got the OGs today, savage roast from your congregations. So
oh boy,
let's dive right in. Prayer concern number 1. We did a church survey, and we asked the question, anything else we need to know? The answer, the Spirit of God would flow better if the volume was turned down during worship.
Of course, the Spirit and volume, they are connected.
Right, connected, absolutely.
My goodness.
Absolutely. Okay, number 2, prayer concern number 2. I had a musician decline on Planning Center, and under the reason they put checking out another church.
Oh.
Yikes.
Oh.
Penalty box, my man. Penalty box.
Checking out another church. You know, I mean.
No bueno.
Some things just don't need to be said.
Yeah.
Some things just don't need to be said. And as a sidebar, if you are checking out another church, you better not be dissing your church because word tends to get around.
Yes,
and let me just say, we know that from experience.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Oh, my Lord. Okay, number 3, prayer concern number 3. My worship band played music for a men's conference a few years ago. And after one of the sessions, a guy came up to us and said, you know, I've been to see Janis Joplin, and I've seen Jimi Hendrix too. And man, you guys are loud. and here we thought he was going to tell us we did a good job or something. We were wrong.
That they were louder than Janis Joplin.
Yeah, that's pretty loud. Pretty loud. That's pretty loud. That's pretty loud. Oh my gosh. Okay. Number 4, prayer concern. Number 4, our church got a 1-star Google review with a comment that said it wasn't any kind of Baptist church that I ever have been to. No reverence. There was shouting and clapping. It was ridiculous.
How dare you shout and clap for the
How
Lord?
How dare you?
Where are those verses? Let's get them out. Oh, we got the verses.
Holy moly. Holy moly. Okay, here's the last one, the bottom of the pudding cup. Prayer concern number 5. Announcements don't belong in service, but hey, at least it's a good time to go to the bathroom. Oh, the honesty. Oh, the honesty of our church folks.
Oh, the honesty, yes.
Oh my gosh. So fam, send your prayer concerns into us. We want to hear from you. What have you been dealing with out there? And maybe you've got a regular OG like these, or you've got an unusual song request or a ridiculous decline. We shared one of those today. Send them to us. Hit our website, worshipleaderprobs.com. Just click on prayer concerns up in the menu. Well, we've been telling you about Experience Conference. It's coming in September to Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida.
Can't wait.
I can't wait either. It's amazing conference, incredible content, speakers, artists, worship leaders, 100 breakout sessions for all the disciplines on your team. And you can save some money with our discount code, PROBS26, PROBS 26. You can find a link in our bio for that. And just use that code. It'll save you $30 on every registration. Worship Karaoke is rolling. Make sure you're subscribed over on YouTube. You can get the full episodes there. You can see the first 15 minutes on Instagram. That's an Instagram rule, not a Worship Probs rule. But you can see the full episode on YouTube. So make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel at Worship Probs. And we'd love to come your way for a worship encounter weekend. Kim and I have sharing those with churches all over the country. Kim also does a terrific job with women's conferences for your women's ministry, whether it's a Finally Free conference or a Fear Not women's conference. Send me an email, info@worshipleaderprobs.com, and we can talk about coming to your church. We would absolutely love to get you on the calendar for 2026.
Yes, we would. And make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. And we'd love for you to take a quick minute to head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating with a very, very nice review.
5 stars and nice.
Yes. Thanks, too, for following us on all the socials at Worship Probs on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Threads, at Worship Leader Probs on TikTok. Join the Worship Probs community group on Facebook, and on X, just look for the Worship Leader Probs hashtag.
Yeah, and real quick, massive shout out to our girl, Allie Bajanos from Allie Be Creative. Does an incredible job with this podcast and with Kim's podcast, the Strip Free podcast. And if your church or your ministry or your business, whatever you need, some help with a website or social media strategies, branding, design, logos, whatever, go connect with her. I 10 out of 10 recommend her. We'll tag her below. She is phenomenal and she will crush it for you. And thanks to our friend Scott Hoke for our intro. Guys, thanks for listening or watching today. We always love hanging out with you, and I hope this has been an encouragement to you. Until next time, deuces.
KT out.